Hello. Hello, I am Max. I'm an engineer on Stonehearth. Today was supposed to be a Chris stream. However, Chris is unavailable, so you'll have to do with me. On this stream, I plan to do some random fixes and improvements to Re-embarkation, and I will answer whatever questions come up in chat as usual. Hello everyone, Tryharderer, Mali, Pick of Death, Geester. Let's see. Hi Max, thanks for working on the miner. No problem. A lot of people were quite alarmed at the changes, but I hope with the new update those will be less painful. But continue giving us feedback. We want to make sure it's not a pain to use. Hello Warp, haven't seen you around the streams lately. Saralar, hello. Sulfite, glad you're able to catch the stream. So, Geester says you gotta break a few eggs to make an omelette. That is certainly true. However, then I had to put some of the eggs back together, and you know, the glue sticks to the shell, and it's a mess. Anyway, let's look at what it means to re-embark in multiplayer. So right now, if you are playing a multiplayer game, everyone gets the same re-embark teams as the host has. But what we want really is when you are joining a multiplayer game, you can re-embark. You choose one of the teams that you have re-embarked with before, or rather chosen for re-embarkation, so you can like finish your city and then have a bunch of your people go and join your friend's city. So that's what I'm gonna look into right now. I promise I won't ramble about die this time. I don't know, maybe some rambling is useful. Maybe it might inspire someone to mod that in. Warp says, school is a big commitment. Yeah, priorities are important. Thanks for bragging about my functionality mods. Yeah, no, my pleasure. Can you share a game key? No, but the game is available on Steam. It's in early access, and I think it's $25 or $29 right now. Okay, let's see. First of the changes that we need to support re-embarkation multiplayer is to get the list of re-embarkation teams from the client instead of the server. So this command, which I think it's on the server, I will need to verify that. I will need to make sure that that is available from the client. And right now it's on a service rather than on a call handler, and the service lives on the server for this one. So we'll need to make a version of this command for the client. I think there's already a new game handler. Let me look at that, where we can stick that .nre new game call handler. Let's see, get re-embark specs. We'll need to modify that, but it should be able to live here. And just verify that this is actually on the client and not on the server, because that would sort of defeat the purpose of this change. Call handler, yes. So this is used on the client. Back to the chat, not much new. Don't take food from Max's mouth, look how thin he is. I don't think I'm thin. I've been much thinner. But thank you for defending me. Back to here, we have our get re-embark specs command. So I don't think I need to change much here, really. Because this is a client command. All it does is it reads a folder in your game, folder inside your game folder that contains the re-embarkation team files. So this, in theory, should work fairly straightforwardly. I do need to change the manifest to declare this command. So this will just change get re-embark specs command. I don't need command for if it's already in a command handler, but whatever, let's just keep it. And we need to change the code here, which calls it to, instead of doing call object, which calls a function on object. There was recently a thread about that, if you're interested on what that means. Instead to call this command directly. So this should be all the changes we need to get at least the list out. This still won't make the feature work, because now that we're getting the list on the client, we still need to send them to the server. But at least now the UI for selecting a team should work on both the client and the server and show the teams that you have on your machine. While I run a test for this, I will catch up with chat. Okay, Monster1317, hi, hello! Austria Gamer 1, admittedly I was going to be playing Dauntless right now, but they're down for maintenance, so I thought I'd stop by and say hey to everyone. Did you know that our previous lead designer, Richard, was actually the lead designer on Dauntless, I believe? Just a fun fact. Coasters Paul, hello. The sulfite? Probably the sulfite. Oh, so with Re-embarkation you can send people from the old save to the new one, but in future will you be able to send people back and forth at will? No, we do not plan to add any new Re-embarkation features, aside from like little things like what I'm doing right now. Sending people back and forth involves a bunch of complications. They're obviously not unsolvable, but it's not something that we plan to do. However, as you'll see from the code that I'm editing, this is all Luo in JavaScript. So this is all that's exposed to mods. So a modder could definitely write a mod that sends people between towns. It's not easy, but it's certainly doable. Tej Raja, hello. The sulfite would make the saves feel like they are in a shared world. Yes, the way we envision it, Re-embarkation is more of a new game plus rather than establishing a network of towns. Both of those are valid paths, but the latter is more complicated and is not something that we could support at a level that we would be happy with. Warp, Stonehearth, it'd be really cool to be able to re-embark your bad heartlings where you personally don't start over, but they do and occasionally send you more resources, also recycling bad heartlings, lol. You are certainly able to get rid of your heartlings by re-embarking them, but that's up to you. Sending resources back, probably not something that we'll do. It's actually not that hard to implement or mod, because you can just, when you send them off, you record those names in that same save file, and then you can use those things in further quests. Fairly straightforward, not something we are planning. The other way, where once you re-embark, we keep track of the old city, keep track is probably not the right description. We remember the name and a little bit about your old city, and then like give you quests or some sort of like, oh, here are some supplies that your old city sent you because they remember you and want you to succeed. This is something that definitely not planned, but something that if I find some extra time that I have nothing better to do, I might implement, because it's very straightforward and I think it really enhances that experience. Let's see, Pick of Death. What if a client being a hearthling that is from a mod that host doesn't have? What will happen? That's a good question. Right now, Re-embarkation does not record the mods that you use. In the next release, which should be tonight or tomorrow, save games will remember which mods they have, and when you try to load save game with the wrong mods, it will ask you to allow you to choose to either use the mods that are enabled in the save game or use your current mod configuration, which is a feature that I'm really excited about, because managing mods with a lot of save games is a pain. And that's thanks to Morgan, who worked on that feature. But for Re-embarkation, we do not do that, which means that the way the Re-embarkation works, we record only a few things. So for a bunch of mods, it's not gonna break. However, if you re-embark with an item from a mod, or with like a hearthling customization from a mod that the host doesn't have, unfortunately that will result in an error. But thank you for bringing that up. Maybe we should at least keep track of it and present a nice explanation to the user rather than just erroring out. I will record that if I had a pen, or I can just write it down here in the notepad. Mods enabled on Re-embark team might not be on the server. I mean, this still applies even without a multiplayer, because you might have a save game that you might re-embark from a save game that had mods, and then you disable those mods, and what happens now? Well, we need to go down the same paths. Coaster's Poll, a goblin. There is a goblin on a screen? What? I don't see any goblins. Weird. Well, I guess I can increase the haunt level. The 0.5 is because the machine just blue screened as soon as I tried to start the stream earlier. Let's see, when we get an error when having mods that conflict, could the error message give info in the mods about that? Yes. So conflict is a very vague thing. Right now, with the change that's going out in the next release, you will be told if you have mods that are different from a save game. That's as far as we can go. Defining what a mod conflict is not clear, because it could be like, okay, it's defining the same URI or same namespace. That's actually will result in an error, but that's almost never, or like an error message. But that's almost never the case. It's never that straightforward. It's always like, oh, there's some assumptions that this mod makes that the other mod doesn't, or it makes some conflicting assumptions. And sometimes, like, we can't just say, okay, if two mods touch the same file, we disallow that, because that will break actual valid usages. So basically, it's a lot of work to detect, possibly impossible. So no, we cannot give you a nice error message for all mod conflicts. Okay, when re-embarking, why can't we put the old banner on the map? I cannot deploy it. No, the old banner is a banner shred. It's just there to give you the buff. We could potentially make it a placeable thing, but it's just something we never intended and never did. Mally's got to run. Good night, Mally. Lady Bella, hello, I just bought this game a week ago. I love it so far, except can I have a back button, like when looking at all the Heartlink pages? Not sure what that's asking, because when you open a Heartlink's character sheet from from the list of Heartlings, the old UI still remains on the screen, and you can actually, thanks to Luke, you can move them around the screen, so you can have like the list on the right and the character sheet on the left, and you can swap between them. So if you could be tell me a little more about what it is that you want, maybe we can help you. Coster's Paul, if the combat music is going to stay in the stream playlist, it should at least be followed by the combat over jingle, so we know the goblins didn't just walk out of range. Oh, that's the haunting. Yeah, I could remove it, but I don't know. I think it should get its chance to play. Saves remembering mods is great. Yep, I agree. I was really looking forward to that feature. How do we raise the haunt level of this stream? Only ghostly apparitions can. For example, sometimes the lights will just turn off randomly, or some of the peripherals will just randomly turn on. It's weird. You'll know it when you see it. Good morning. It's 3 o'clock here in Germany. Good morning, Highlight. Not sure I'm pronouncing your name right, but good morning. Thank you for joining us at such an early hour. Spellblade, Stonehearth, putting the shred on the wall would be kind of cool. Yeah, that's a good idea. And we already have some of the models for them. We would need to actually keep the design and put it on one of the banners, but that's a really good idea. Let's see, can shred be destroyed by thieves or goblin when attacking stockpile then? It probably can. I haven't looked at the logic for how thieves and goblins and whatnot choose what to destroy, but I believe they will just destroy anything. it might not be the case. I would need to look it up. Let's see. Thief. This is lagging. Okay. Thief. Let's see. Create thief camp. That's probably not what we want. Oh, I think it's steal from stockpile. Actually, stealing is not so much the problem. Although it's actually cool. If they steal your shred, you will lose that bonus while it's not yours. So I think that's a cool interaction. I don't want them to destroy it though. There is the Marauder stuff. I don't remember what the encounter is called. Something smash stockpile, smash item action. Yeah. So let's see, smash stockpiles mission. Abilities, Marauder abilities. Let's see what smash item. This, I don't know why everyone loves Sublime Text. It's so laggy when I use it. Right. So we were looking for smash item action, and we want to look for who is. How does this do it? Okay, we want it in Lua. Execute destroy items in stockpile. So let's see, get item value, cheapest cost. So we're actually, so the way they choose the item is they pick the cheapest thing in the stockpile after they select a stockpile. So yes, if you have a stockpile with nothing cheaper than your banner shred, which is, I think, I'm not sure how much it is, but looking at this code, if it's not worth anything, it's assumed to be, or if it's not sellable or buyable, it's assumed to be 0, so cheap. Basically, yes, looks like they can destroy it. Maybe we should fix that. I will write that down. Thanks for bringing it up. Don't smash my banner shreds. Cool. Let's catch back up. Probably muted. Can you design a game mode where you're limited to 5 Hearthlings, but they keep the abilities they got from previous jobs, and instead of changing job, they can get promoted once they reach level 6 on a job? That would be a mod, I believe. Certainly not something that... Stonehearth will not have any special modes except what we currently have, which is single player, multiplayer, co-op. Lady Bella, sorry, not Hearthlings, I meant the crafting menus. I tend to type what I hear. I also have to hit the X to go back and forth from one item to next. Let's see. So, switching between different crafters, I guess that could be a back button. But if you're like selecting an item, then switching to another item, we could keep a history there. I guess with mods, that screen becomes pretty crowded. Like I was using the finery mod and like the settlement decor, and suddenly my carpenter has like 3 pages of items to craft. So yes, I do think some better navigation UX there could be helpful. We have a lot of other higher priority stuff to do, both in terms of UX and otherwise, but I'll keep that in mind. Thanks for bringing it up. Back to combat music. Well, by the time I read that, we are no longer in combat music, I believe. Anyone else ever forgotten about a Hearthling stuck in a hole? Yes, that is a classic Stonehearth experience. I'm doing a huge mining project right now and I've had to intervene so much, yes. I did until the hunger balloon alerted me. So we had an idea to make those to make finding those Hearthlings easier, to have a notification on them, or like if they're stuck somewhere high up and can jump down, to make them jump down if they have no other choice. But that's been on the back burner for like literally a year. So someday we'll get to it maybe, but there's so much to do that has never been at the top of the list. Although again, it is a classic Stonehearth experience, so we don't want to rob you of that. Try harder. I've been following the progress on this game, but I'm undecided on getting it as compared to other games like Dwarf Fortress and RimWorld. What makes the game unique enough to get it versus one of the previous two? They're quite different. So Stonehearth gives... the sort of unique feature of Stonehearth is cooperative multiplayer on the same map, and the ability to design 3D buildings with like a pretty high level of complexity. In terms of the simulation, Dwarf Fortress and RimWorld have more complex simulations, and that's sort of the core of the game. And one of the things that matters to me, it might not matter to a lot of people, is the theme and mood of the game. Stonehearth tries to be a lot happier, a lot more about cooperation, and like being nice to the world, nice to your hearthlings, versus RimWorld and Dwarf Fortress encourage you to get into like trouble, and they're dark, people die, and that's just part of the game. That's not something that Stonehearth tries to be. Spellblade. Actually, could you let them keep their earned experience if they swap to another job temporarily? I believe people already keep their experience. I've had guys lose more than half a bar of experience because they needed something else fast. I do think they keep their levels for sure. I'm not sure if they keep their experience. They probably should, but multiclassing in general is not something we support or encourage very much. I believe none of our tests even hit that use case, and like when we do manual testing, it's not a common case. But I will look into whether that's easy to do. Coaster Spall. In my opinion, the management isn't as deep, but the 3D building is nice if someone's hard to use. Yeah, that pretty much covers it. Well, covers some of it. Spellblade. For one, the devs actually keep in contact with the community regularly. As players, sometimes we can also be part of set development. That's not everyone's cup of tea. Sometimes it's better to just work in a bunker and throw out releases. Blood for the Blood God. I think I'm missing context on that one. Stonehearth is way too cute. Yeah, Ali's art is cute as hell. It reminds me of Cube World. I have not played Cube World, so I cannot comment on that. They do keep their levels, but not the experience bar. Yeah, I suppose that's the cost you have to pay for job switching, but I will take a look at it. Try harder, still undecided, but still interested. At Microcenter, it looks like Cube World had me worried when I first saw Cube World. Was a big disappointment. Yeah, I cannot comment on Cube World. I've not played it, so I know nothing about it. But you're welcome to try the game, and if you do, post your impressions on the next stream or on Discord or Discourse or anywhere else. Monster 1317. Will Hearthlings ever get a romantic relationship? Not without mods. Okay. And definitely not kids. Again, mods could do whatever the hell they want. But the base game will not have relationships or kids. So, clearly I was able to choose, to click the Choose Saved menu and got no results. So, I believe that calls for some debugging. Let's open up the Stonehearth log. Actually, I'll just open up in Sublime and see if we are doing something wrong. There is no mention of any clear errors. All of these are just warnings that we are aware of. So we can go here, verify that this is the right command. It is indeed the right command. Verify that the implementation of new game call handler is called. So for simplicity, we can just say get remark specs command called and result. And now if we reload the game, we'll see if that code is even hit. Greetings from Germany, Schwarze Katze. Hello, welcome to the stream. Development sort of petered out on Cube World. Well, development has to end on every game someday. Cube World was basically a money grab made by some company, basically looking almost exactly like this game, but was a 3D adventure RPG, like almost exactly like Stonehearth. Yeah, I have nothing to say there. I don't know about it. Now let's go back to stonehearth.log. that does not appear to be the Stonehearth.log I'm looking for. It should be. Let's see. If I quit the main menu, it should. Yep. So we do know that that code path was not even hit. Let's see why that might be the case. In the log, there are no errors about loading that file. So the file was loaded. However, it was not. Is this the right manifest? It is the right manifest. Correct file. Let's see if it works on the server, just to verify that we are sane. We probably aren't. It was a shame, we'll hardly call it a company. Complete opposite of Stonehearth, crazy progress. Working voxels with little AI actors building and modifying the terrain on the fly is pretty crazy. Still believe though. Thank you for believing. This is not the log you're looking for. Obi-Wan Burly Hands. Yeah, well, in this case it was the log I was looking for. So his attempt at misdirection did not work out. Back to the log. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. That is odd. Let me see where we call choose camp location. Oh, I bet I know what's wrong with this. I just did not prefix this with Stonehearth, because we need to do that, because this command is defined in the Stonehearth mod. Okay. Jedi Burly Hands needs more training. Yep, sounds like it. Okay, single player, all default settings, choose saved, and there we go, we have our list. So this was still testing on the server, so I'm gonna go and change that back to client, remove these, and restart. You should go see that guy, you know, the green one with pointy ears. Party Goblin. Good one. Okay, so this is reading on the client and we still get our results back, which is awesome. Let's see. So, in our select roster code, once we get all of the Re-embark specs, we have all the info there in the UI. However, the way we actually start or set a re-embarkation team is by sending just an ID to the server, and we can't do that anymore because the data might not be on the server in the first place. So what we're going to change is how we reference a template. Being attacked again? Okay, that's it. I will remove the Clatter and Clash battle themes from this list. There you go. No more being attacked outside of the game. Get Re-embark specs. Yeah, we want to switch that back to... Where are we? Come on. Re-embark specs. Yeah, to this. Okay, we swapped both of these. Let's use the beds for barricades. Now I can relax. But I was able to get you to relax. Let's see. So we have our specs. We have stored them in the Re-embark specs array. Rather, this is a map from Re-embark ID to the spec. And this is an array for the UI, for the template, because our templating system does not like iterating over objects. Handlebars is the system we use. It's not great, and we haven't updated it in forever. So we need to do hacks like this to have both an array and an object representation of the same data. But whatever, you don't have to worry about that. So let's continue searching for where Re-embark is used. This is I generate citizens for Re-embark command. So this is kind of the core code that we'll need to change, I believe. Right now we just sent the ID, which we cannot do anymore because, as I mentioned before, the data for the Re-embark team is not on the server, so the ID is not sufficiently useful there. So we'll do self get Re-embark specs and index that by Re-embark spec ID. So that will be our spec, and we will send the actual full spec. Whoop. There. The result should be identical. And now we go back to the game creation service, and we'll look for that command that we were calling, which is generate citizens for Re-embark, and instead of Re-embark spec ID, we have the actual Re-embark spec. Here we want to make sure that is a table. So in theory, that should be more or less sufficient. We probably need to add some more validation because this is like random data coming from a client. So they might say, okay, my Re-embark spec is everyone has 1,000 body and 3,000 spirit, and they're all the jobs, which I guess maybe we don't want to disallow, because hell, if you want overpowered people, more power to you. We're not a competitive game. We don't really care about you cheating because, like, you already agreed on it by joining the server or allowing people to join your server. Okay, so let's try this. It probably won't work from the first time. Almost nothing ever does. But let's try it out. The Mirror, first time here, interesting stuff you're doing. Appreciate showing us how it's done. My pleasure. Feel free to ask if anything is not clear. The goal here is just to show you a bit of how the game is being developed and how you can mod it, because the way we develop it is exactly the way you would mod it. And there's slight differences. You typically will make your changes in a separate file and apply it on top of our files, but in essence it's all the same. So we sent our data and it broke. We have empty portraits and no heartlinks. Woe is us. Let's go to stonehearth.log and see cannot read property whatever of undefined. So this is pretty straightforward. It means that here Re-embark specs is unset. But clearly we set it here. We set it on the Re-embark choice view and not on the what do you call it? The main view where we are calling this. So this is also pretty straightforward. What we need to do is we don't need all of this. In fact, we don't need anything except that part. So the results. Basically, we already called this function previously, so we have the list of templates, but it's in the template menu, not in the roster view. It's technically more efficient to somehow pass that data around on the client, in the UI, but in this case this happens so slowly and this happens so rarely, and the part of generating the citizens itself is so slow relative to just asking for the Re-embark specs on the client that the actual difference is completely, you basically can't feel it. So let's try again. We can just refresh the UI since that's all the code that we changed. And we have Raven Founder. So let's remember Zed, Edessa, Bastion Heart, and June Zedra. They should show up in here. Zed, Edessa, Bastion Heart, June Zedra. They do seem to be missing their traits. Oh, but these are no, that's actually correct, because I saved these Re-embark teams from a test and in tests we default to not rates, so they don't like have random differences between runs. So yeah, in theory, now we are getting the Re-embark data on the client. We are sending it all to the server as data rather than as an ID, and it should work in multiplayer. Unfortunately, I can't test this reliably here. I would need either 2 separate installations of Stonehearth or 2 separate machines, because right now, if I run 2 instances, I can run 2 instances of Stonehearth and connect them to each other from the same machine, but they will both have the same re-embarkation because it's the same installation. So that won't really tell us anything. But I will consider this as done as it's going to get on stream. I will test it off stream, and if there are still issues, I will fix them. So moving on, another tiny re-embarkation change that someone asked for was the ability to delete re-embark teams. Because if you re-embark a lot, or like you re-embark, save, reload, re-embark, etc., you can end up with lots of teams. And right now, the only way to delete existing re-embark teams is by going back to your Stonehearth folder and finding the folder where the re-embark teams are stored, and then looking at all the long, unreadable names of the files and finding the one that you want, etc. It's a pain. So I'm gonna try to add a button to delete those teams. Back in chat, Stone Monkey, hey all. Hello Stone Monkey. Bruno Supremo, hey Max, about the UI. On the Kingdom Biome difficulty screen, their selection boxes fit exactly 3 thumbnails, making hard to notice a 4th option. Yes, that's actually a good point. I was looking at that the other day. Yeah, we should resize that to make it clearer that there are more options. Let me just look. So I don't have 2 kingdoms, but yeah, so if you have more, it will limit to this size, and then there won't be more. So yeah, we should probably have it so it's like the maximum is 2.5, so if you have more than 2, it's clear that there is more. However, it also looks kind of bad. I will consult with other people and see if they can come up with a solution that both tells the player that there are more. Oh, haunt level. Well, nope. There we go. I will consult with other people and see if we can find a solution that both looks pretty and shows you that you have more things to choose from. And if we can't find one, we will just make it fit 2.5. Let me increase that haunt level. Okay. Nope, I don't need to save. That's just muscle memory. Yes, we do have a UI designer. She's out right now, but we do have a UI designer. Okay, so much to do. Yeah, there's always more to do. Right, so what I was gonna do is in here, adding the ability to delete these things. Let's see, do we want the button to be inline, maybe like only appearing on hover, or be here? Probably I think it's on the side and it's red, so it doesn't get in the way, but at the same time it's in a predictable place. So yeah, that should be very straightforward. Let me go do that. Except I don't know if we even have a way, like an API to delete an object. We probably do, but I will need to look that up. And if we don't, we can add one right now. Okay, so this is still the right file to be editing, except I want to edit the HTML for it first. Let's see. Citizen roster and Stonehearth Re-embark choice. Yes, that's what we're looking for. And it's the buttons, and we want another button that said delete. Delete crew and not delta. Delete. And we want to go to in JSON, which is the default English localization, and add an entry for delete crew. Come on. Delete. Not delete. Delete. Okay, that should take care of the HTML changes. We do need to mark this button with a different class because I want to float it to the left instead of to the right like the rest of the buttons. So delete button. Not delta this time. Okay, select roster less. We use less, which is a superset of CSS, which allows us a few shortcuts. And in here, buttons. I believe this is the right place. Let me see. Yeah, that's the Re-embark choice. So right now the buttons are positioned absolutely to the right. And we will need to float this to the left. Although that might not be sufficient, I will look into it again in a bit. Typos, the bane of programming. Yes, they are. There's lots of banes of programming. This compared to the actual scary banes, this is not a big one. Although, like just yesterday, I think I wasted a lot of time, and what's worse, it wasn't even my time. It was Anna's time, our QA analyst, because I typed a thing in a complex piece of code that and didn't notice, and she spent so much time testing it, and it ended up being just a typo. And despite the weird bugs that resulted from it, I really love that world delta. Don't you? No, I actually quite dislike it, and I found another one of it, so I will kill it with fire again. Right. So I actually probably want to position the delete button absolutely. Like when you're doing, when you're designing a website, using absolute positioning is really a terrible idea most of the time because the size of your screen is completely different, even between machines. And I'm not even starting on mobile and other media. But the way we use Chrome and the way we use the web UI is to always render in a constant size screen, so we can assume all the measurements will never change. And we just if you resize the window, we just zoom the result. We don't change the actual renderer, which means that for the UI, we can use absolute positioning all we want. So let's do left 10px and bottom 5px. The Merv, MSGO, I've been following your game for quite some time. Keep up the good work. Thank you, and you have a nice night too. Let's see. So, again, this was just a UI change, so this should show up here. Wow, that is a mess. I will need to move it outside of the buttons block because the positioning is absolute within that block in this case, which is not what we want. And since we added a new localization entry without reloading the game, we won't get it, so we'll get this ugly placeholder text, or not the placeholder text, but the name of the localization key, which points to the actual English. This little feed says, looks fine to me. Yeah, well, I'm glad you have such low standards, and it are so easy to please. Alas, not all players are like you, and some will balk when they see a button that is outside the dialog and has nonsense text on it. I know it's a lot to ask not to be bothered by it. Bruno Supremo says, CSS troubles. I've been fighting CSS and JavaScript the whole week. I'm sorry for your troubles. I actually don't think CSS is that bad. Like, especially once you're in the zone and you have the CSS in your head, and that's. And the thing is, CSS is painful sometimes, but it's also super powerful. You can usually get whatever style you want with some combination of CSS with a little bit of JavaScript here and there maybe, which is not something you can say about a lot of UI systems. Like on my previous project, I worked on Unreal Engine, and They have the UMG system, which is great at many things, but like I really missed the power of CSS working on that, because you just can use so, like, CSS allows you things like animations for free, and things like alignment of text and Unicode and letter spacing and like all kinds of font tweaks. It's a really, really powerful system. Bruno Supremo says, I'm building a translator for the game. That's cool. I know there was some other translation program that someone on Discourse was discussing. I don't know if you guys are cooperating on that or if that's unrelated, but it's cool. Thank you for building tools for other modders. I am Ciancho. I noticed a lot of language translation mods for this. How awesome is that that the fans want to make this as global as possible? Yeah, we love that too. It's it like takes a lot of work off our shoulders for people to actually help us translate the game. Or, well, that's actually a little dismissive of their work. It's great that they are doing the translation for us, the entire thing, not just helping us. So thank you, translators. But as always, I love CSS actually, but one of my jobs involves teaching website building. Yeah, teaching can be painful. It depends on your students, but I've had good experiences. I've had bad experiences teaching, but yeah, it can be pretty bad. Bruno Supremo, yes, that software is bugged though. That is the reason I'm building a new one. And there is an image which I shall open and view. Ta-da! Right. Nice. Oh, it's yeah, that seems very straightforward. And there's nice collapsing and all. Cool, good job, man. Okay, back to this. I will delete button should be outside. I switched it to an ID because it's outside of all the IDs. Do I want to do that? Maybe I don't want to do that. What I do want to do, I think, is have swap these, make them flow to the right, and make the delete button flow to the left, and make the buttons box itself full width. Let's see. This we said wants to flow to the right, and this wants to flow to the left, and we don't want this, but we want this to stretch all over, and then we'll do dot right, make that float to the right, and left float to the left. And in here, the this button, I believe there is a way to just put a class. I think it's like red. That would be too easy. But we have classes specific for red buttons and green buttons and whatnot. That looks great. Yep, that translation software does look great. Maybe this weekend I release it. Oh, cool. Could be super helpful in getting the game into the hands of more people. Yep. Especially because Dwarf Fortress was popular internationally. Yeah. I assume Stonehearth could be too. Yeah, it could be. Well, I think as far as layout, that's what we want. And the class thread actually worked. Wow, I did not expect it to work. Once I reload the game, that will actually have the right label. In the meantime, I want to look at how to actually delete the Re-embark teams. So we should be going near the bottom where there's select and cancel, and we'll add a delete. And we don't want to close the window, we just want to call some API to delete it. So let's say get selected spec. That will return the ID, which is what we want. And delete re-embark spec command, which we will add in a moment. We don't actually care about when it's done, really. Well, I guess we want to re-render it. We want to do basically call this again, or we could just delete it from the array, which is a little dirty because now we're not exactly following the data that we have on the in the file system, but this is easier, so it should be harmless. And we want to remember this so that okay. This is an array, so we can't just remove it. So instead, we'll want to do filter as spec. Is it .id? I think. Let me verify. Yes, it's .id doesn't equal spec ID. So basically, give me anything that is not this spec ID. So this means that we're gonna get the existing array, filter out the thing that we deleted, and then set it back. That should be sufficient for the UI to look like you have deleted the entry. It won't actually delete it, but well, that apparently was not enough. Let me go back to log and see if we logged anything. Where are you, log? Sorry. Get to the bottom. There is no mention of any errors, so it's probably something wrong with my code that's not obvious. So I'm going to print out a bunch of things. Console.log. Deleting spec ID. Oh yeah, that makes sense because this will never actually succeed because this command does not exist. So yeah, I'm gonna fix that in a moment. Just let me catch up with chat. Oh, button looks great too, except it's so big because of a label. Yeah. Okay, enough watching you work. Back to work I go. Have fun loving the game so far. I'm glad you're enjoying the game. Enjoy your work. So many tabs, says Bruno. Yeah, I usually use Visual Studio, which allows me to pin tabs so I can keep ones I care about and just ignore all the rest. But maybe that's not a thing you can do in Sublime. I'm a Sublime noob, so I don't really know. Is it much easier to talk through what you're doing instead of just thinking it? Not really. It's like a stream of consciousness. It doesn't change much. For me personally, yeah, as Gisser says, it depends on the person. Some people really enjoy it, some don't. We are getting pretty close to the end of the stream, but I do want to finish this, which should be just a few minutes. And in the meantime, if you guys have any last questions, please post them. And okay, come on. There we go. Haunt level 3. Now we're going for the high score today. Okay. Nope. Now this got caught. This is not haunting though. Re-embark spec. Right, so we wanted to add this, which should be somewhere in here. And again, it's on the client because we want the client's re-embark specs. And if we open the new game called handler, we can put here and spec ID, read object, re-embarkation, and that would be the name, except of course instead of read object, we'll want delete object. And I assume that thing exists, but let me check that. Mods.lua. Oh, why did it just close it? And now it's hung. Okay, what we're looking for, mods.lua. Read object, write object. Ah, it's called remove object. Okay, that should work. Now back to the new game. Call handler, remove object, re-embarkation spec ID. I believe that's all we need. And since this is all happening on the client, calling the client itself, we don't need to worry about security, because you're just hacking yourself if you're trying to like make this path refer to something outside your folder. And besides, it won't actually allow you to remove anything outside the saved objects folder. Anyway, point is, this should work. Let's try it out. Let's close Stonehearth and restart it. Bruno Supreme, yeah, I routinely have more tabs than what I know what to do with. It's sort of embarrassing. Yeah, tab management is an acquired skill. Y'all have ghosts? Yeah, we have a number of phantoms and poltergeists that inhabit some of these rooms and some of our machines. We'll see that the label has changed because we loaded the game. So let's delete this one, and it failed. In particular, new game call handler 42. Ah, yes, because I'm trying to return a result while we do not have any results. So I'm just going to resolve with an empty object. It did mean that it actually succeeded in deleting the thing, or at least it didn't error out on deleting the object. Back here, come on, single player. Yes, we will notice that now we have 3 rather than 4 entries here, and that was not intended, and that's probably a UI bug. In fact, yes, once we reload this UI, we see that we deleted the one that we selected, and we have the other 2, but we probably want a confirmation dialog on that. We don't want to just click remove or delete and suddenly goes away. And we also need to fix this. Oh, return. That's why the filter is not working. And I'm also gonna go and duplicate a bunch of the Re-embark teams so I actually can delete more without losing all of my teams. So this is under saved objects, Stonehearth, Re-embarkation. I'm just gonna copy and paste this. Of course, it's not letting me do that. Why is it not letting me do that? Oh, it did, but after forever. And I'm gonna use fake IDs because we don't actually care what these are names. Okay. I'm gonna reload this UI. And finally choose save, Zedadessa, delete, delete. These are the copies that we made. So this seems to be working. Cool. Back to chat. Possibly, maybe, probably they have ghosts. Yep, we have ghosts. We need to call the Ghostbusters. I don't know. We tried calling them once, but it was they didn't answer, so I don't know what's up with that. Lego Red Dragon. They should put that in the game as an Easter egg. Do we have ghosts in the game? We have a plan for one ghostly being that will someday come to light, but that's all I know. Gister's car is haunted. Radio turns on and off at random. You get used to it. Yeah. You just learn to live with your ghostly neighbors. Eucalyptus, welcome to the stream. One of the bigger problems that causes my building to glitch and not complete is when my crafters make higher quality items than the building called for, and when I try and make new ones and place a higher level item over it, things get screwy. Is there a workaround for considering you can't edit buildings after placement? I believe right now in the new builder they should use whatever quality item is available. I need to confirm whether that fix is in, but that's definitely the intention eventually, if it's not already in. No, 8 years old car, ancient. That's not ancient. Come on, man. Sylphid, there probably should be a confirm box. Yeah, I agree. I'll add a confirm box sometime later when this actually makes it in game. Tryharder, does this game have any sort of making a shop tavern system that travelers can interact with? Multiplayer has trade kiosks, yes. You can build trade kiosks and travelers will visit and shop at those kiosks and buy stuff from you. Right now they even will visit your town if you have a tier 2 or higher town, but all they do is talk to your townspeople. I don't know if I would call that ancient, but it's probably close. Yep, a few more years and you can get antique plates. The Sylphid, and if you reopen the game, they're still gone from the roster since they're still in the file. I don't think that's true, because as you see, we actually have deleted the files that we copied it from inside the game. So that should be fine as far as functionality, but the UX is terrible because you don't have a confirmation. It's too easy to delete accidentally. Give them a negative review on Yelp. The Ghosts, I don't think they have a Yelp page, but that's a good idea. The Ghostbusters, yeah, that makes more sense. Haunted PC that floats towards you. I don't think we've had that extent of haunting yet, but we've had some weird things happen. No, it's not just a visual thing anymore, it actually deletes them forever and ever, which is why a confirm box is really important. Invisible man pages filling you with dread. Who are you gonna call? Ghostbusters? Okay, so we are at 7:05, which should mark the end of the stream, and 5 minutes more. Last call. You have 30 seconds to type any other questions you might have, plus the 30-second Twitch delay before I will end the stream. In the meantime, I will commit these changes to Git so we don't lose them. So I'm going to just do it right here. Git checkout b stream 325. So we're creating a new branch called stream 325. And we are going to git add a bunch of things. Git add p is amazing. It lets you select just the things you want to add or change. We do want these and this. This is the declaration of the commands. Taking a full spec instead of an ID. Changes to the UI. Changes to the JavaScript that calls the UI. And the deletion function. The style changes, no, this was just a change to the test that I was testing stuff with. And git commit. Vim, I hate Vim. Re-embark, support for multiplayer plus crew deletion. Okay, and I'm gonna push that. Whoop, git push is what I meant, and it will tell me the actual thing to run. And you had a good night. My night is just starting. Thanks, Max. Thanks everyone who was here. Thanks for enjoying the stream and keeping me company in the chat. What's next once Re-embarkation, new building, and multiplayer are done? No huge features are planned right now. There is the Titan, which we've talked about a little bit. We don't know when that's coming, but that's probably not in this alpha. And there is the Bunny campaign, which the last stream was about. And that's all the stuff that I know of that is planned. There is stuff that is not currently planned, but potentially gonna be out, like seasons maybe. Right now our focus is optimization. In fact, the release that's gonna go out today or tomorrow has some major optimizations to restocking, so large cities should see a lot less idleness when you have lots of items to restock and lots of people to restock. Pick of Death, Stonehearth, will we see flying animals or enemies? I don't think so. Mods can do it. We do not have any plans for real flying animals or enemies. We do have like fireflies and whatnot, somewhere. I don't think they're enabled in the game, but I know Anna and Morgan added them during the for the Dark Grove biome, so maybe that's something we can have, but not like real flying things. Cool. So thank you all for being here. I have enjoyed this. I hope you have enjoyed this. Game on.